Listen to this. Yeah. We come to tell you tonight that he'll answer. Go on and say it, choir. Every breath that helps in time of trouble, be there on the trouble. In my life, sometimes I've had to cry. It hurts so bad, feel like I would die. But the Lord knows how much you can bear. Every one of your burdens He will share. That's why I come. I wonder, can you help me? Cold things visit. You just call him. I'm a firm believer that He will answer. He's a very present help. He'll be there. I know He will. Ever since the day came into my heart, I'm gonna be silver mine. From love I know I shall never be part, because I'm with Him. I'm on the winning side. Jesus makes a giver on. In my life, I know I got to go and tell the world. Amen. Oh, God, Jesus. All you gotta do, all you gotta do, all you gotta do is just call on Him. I guarantee that He will answer. He'll I know He will. I know. Oh man, we might have to listen to the rest of that next week. That is my jam. I am really, really happy to hear that song. I haven't listened to that CD in forever. I'm blessed and fortunate enough to be able to. I was one of the choir members of that group that recorded that CD. So shout out to Brother Alvin Willis and the entire Praise Alive chorale. Let me greet some of you guys. Bishop Sean Yancey, all the way down south. I think he's in Texas somewhere. Glad to have you on, my brother. Good to see you always. Hey, Mama, I see you. Glad to see you.
Hey, Mama.
On. Good evening. Good evening. Hey, my sister's on, Ebony. Hey, Ebony.
Hey.
And I was going to say Pastor Antoine, of course. Yeah, hello. My other sister, May, she was a part of that choir too. The song we just listened to, we recorded that together. So glad to see all of you guys on. Hey, Tiara Campbell, good to see everybody. As you come in, like we always do, please like this broadcast. Love it. Send up some hearts for us tonight. And please, by all means, share. We want you to share this broadcast with as many people as possible, because this is something that is very, very dear and important to all of us. At some point, every one of us has lost someone. Death it's for sure. That's one thing we know. Death is for sure. But the thing about it is, when you lose, and I'm hate to even say it, but it's a part of life. But when you lose, I haven't experienced it, but they have. I know many people that have lost their parents. I lost my dad just a few months back.
Yeah.
And I just believe, and there is nothing anyone can tell me any different. And this is based on what I heard. I believe that there is no loss like the loss of a mother. And ladies and gentlemen, those of you all who are listening, whether you're listening to this broadcast tonight on Facebook, Periscope, Twitter, YouTube, I'm telling you, I don't know how I would handle that. And I pray that I don't have to handle it for a very, very, very long time.
Right.
Yeah.
But those of you who are tuned in tonight, and also I want to give a special shout out to those of you who watch the replays. Some of you are in church or working or whatever, and you always watch the replays, and I appreciate you so very much. You matter as well to the Self-Checkout Show. And tonight, ladies and gentlemen, again, the Self-Checkout Show is where we take an honest look at what's in our hearts, our minds, and our spirits. And tonight, one of the things that is definitely in us, in all of us, is the ability or the lack thereof to deal with grief. I said, hey, Jeanette McFarland is on. She is also one of those Show Enough Praise Live choir members. I'm shouting all y'all out tonight. Hey. Yeah, so it was a blow. It's always a blow to anybody that experiences death. But ladies and gentlemen, tonight, my guests, they both lost their moms 3 years apart. 3 years apart. I believe it was 2011 for Pastor Antoine and 2014 for LaKisha. And tonight, they're here on the Self-Checkout Show to tell their story, let us know about their journey and how they dealt with grief. Many of you have many, many questions, and we want you to put your questions in the comments. We will address as many of them as possible because I believe that this show tonight will definitely help somebody that's going through it right now, dealing with grief. So won't you all, if you're on Facebook especially, I want to see you heart up the screen. Let's give some hearts up, lots and lots of hearts for my guests tonight, my friends, my brother and my sister. We've been knowing each other for a long time. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you Pastor Antoine and LaKisha Sanders. Hey, y'all.
Hey.
What's going on, my brother?
How you all doing?
Wonderful. How are you?
No complaints.
I'm doing good after I was out in that
blizzard.
The element.
Today I had to get out for a little bit, and man, when I tell you, I was like frustrated with all that snow.
Man, it's a lot.
And I do believe that we got more than 12 inches.
I think so.
Yeah, in certain parts for sure.
Yeah, I know Evanston, way up north, they got a whole 1.5 feet. I think we probably got about 13, 14 here in the city. But I'm over it. I'm way over it. But I'm really, really glad to have you guys on tonight. It's a great honor, of course, to have people of your caliber. And let me say this too. This is off subject, y'all, and we're gonna hear their story. But I appreciate people for taking time out of their schedule to come on my show. Because people don't have to. People are busy and they have lives, and some may just not want to be on a virtual show, which is fine. But here's why I appreciate everyone who's been on my show, because they don't ask me, well, who coming on or who else coming on and all that kind of stuff. You know, man, I done had some so-called local celebrities like snub my show because they feel like they've reached a certain plateau, and if there's not a certain other type of person on with them, they neglect to come on, and that's perfectly fine. Just know that I won't ask them again.
Right.
But these people who sit in Lifeline Ministry under Pastor Reggie and London Royal, they are are just open and always willing to come on and to talk with us. And oh no, Mom, you don't have to thank me. It's just what I do. It's my job.
You take care of mamas.
And so I just appreciate everybody that comes on. And tonight, I want to just talk about how to deal with grief. You both experienced it. You both went through it together. First, Lady Keisha had to hold you up, Pastor Twan.
Yep.
And I imagine you never get over it.
Oh, no.
Really. And then 3 years later, I would imagine when you're finally trying to really, really wrap your mind around that mom is gone, you have to go through it all over again while pastoring a church. So take us back to 2011. Your initial reaction. And I asked you that because, and I sent the memo over earlier. They say it's 5 stages of grief, and we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah.
But just take us back and walk us through your story.
Well, at this time, like we talked last time, we had already started the church. We were already rolling. We had our location in Maywood. Had afternoon service. It was doing good. My mom and my sister, when I first stepped out, they came along with me, of course. And so I think we were already a year. We were already like a year and a half in. And, we had some momentum. Everything was going good. And my mom took ill. And it was during that time that we found out that she had stage 4 ovarian cancer. And during that time, the doctors were very honest with me because I asked them to be. And, they start talking about how, we're going to have this surgery and then we're going to do chemo and she should be okay. Well, when it was time to do the chemo, her body was so weak that she couldn't take the chemo. And so after the surgery, everything just kind of took a turn. And she pretty much told me, you're looking at like 6 months.
Yeah.
And so when I first got that, I'm a man of faith. And my mom is a woman of faith. She spent quite a few years at Living Word. You know what I mean? That's the father of faith, Bill Winston, And so she had all her believing God manuals. We prayed and we believed God. We stood on the word, the whole 9.
Sure. And
I remember during this process, I got a phone call from a good friend of mine. Matter of fact, one of my elders, one of the men that's in my life, he called me. And he says to me, he lost his mom, and he said, "Hey man, I know we believe in God. We believe in God for complete healing and all of that, but you need to prepare because if she decides she's ready, you got to be prepared for that." And so here's the revelation. We always pray that God's will be done, but we never ask God to prepare us for whatever that will is. Yeah. And so we'll say stuff like, "Oh, have your way, God, your will be done." But if God's will is contrary to what you're believing for, that's a tough pill to swallow.
It's the acceptance versus the understanding.
Right.
Of his will.
Right. So I went through that. And of course, during that last, I think, month or so, it just kind of started slowly, not looking so good. They started talking hospice and all of that type of stuff. And my prayer was, I never want to see my mom. I couldn't take, seeing my mom, go through that type of fight. And I think that probably would have destroyed me more than her going to be with the Lord. And so she went on to be with the Lord, and it was completely devastating to my wife, my little sister, my family, the church.
Sure.
That kind of shook me. And that was the first time I had ever had a thought of just not doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? It's hard for me to move on without her, because my mom, much like everybody else's mom, my mom was my number one fan.
Yeah.
No matter
Absolutely.
what I was doing. Because, you know, when I was playing football, she was there at the games. When I was playing drums, she was there. When I was singing R&B at La Follette Park, at the Da Vinci Manor, my mom was there. When we started singing gospel, committed to Christ, she was there. Near future, she was there. My whole journey, my mom was there for everything, just pushing me and supporting me. And so I knew that was gone. And so that was the first time that I kind of had that, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this. And God being so faithful, my mother-in-law, who completely just overshadowed me with love, she's always been my second mom. I don't even have a mother-in-law. She was never my mother-in-law. That was just my other mom.
Mm-hmm.
So she came right in to fill that void. And so, but the initial stages of that, man, was I mean, it was unbearable, to say the least.
So I heard something today. Good evening, the rest of you all that are coming in. Thank you so much for tuning in the self-checkout show. We appreciate you. Hey, Darnett, I wanted you in on purpose. And even Miss Jeanette lost her mom not too long ago. So, you know, this is really near and dear to a lot of people, because people you don't really know how to deal with it. You know what I'm saying? Let's just be honest for a moment. And when something like that happens, you know, the first thing on your mind is really, well, when my dad passed, the first thing I wasn't just thinking about faith and miracle signs and wonders. I wasn't. I was a son. I wasn't anything else. So I heard something today. Absolutely, Elise. Elise says they are such a blessing. Pastor Antoine and Lady Keisha spoke life into me right after my mother died, she says. And a few months later, his mother passed. They are both amazing. Absolutely, they are amazing. Good evening, Prophetess Tina Cunningham. So glad to see you back in the show, the self-checkout show. I heard something today. A guy was talking, and he was talking about when he lost his mom. He said that she taught me everything except how to live without her.
We say that all the time.
That's true. That's true. Especially when it's like a single family home, and mom is the one. You know what I mean? That is the absolute truth.
And it also depends on your, like you said, your family dynamic. And I know we'll get into my story, but I was an only child that lost her mom.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So you're talking about first friend, you know, as a teenager, I had her. Dating, I had her. When it was time to get married, I had her. Now without her, I didn't know how to function.
Yeah. So in the 5 stages of grief that they talk about, the first stage, they say, is denial. And let me read a piece of that. It says that in the denial stage, you refuse to believe what's happened. You try in your mind to tell yourself that life is as it was before your loss. You may even make believe to an extent by reenacting rituals that you used to go through with your loved one. Did you at any point, Pastor Antoine, did you at any point find yourself in that stage?
Of course. I think the one thing, and my wife talked, we went through this 5 stages of grief thing a while ago, and we've discovered that everybody's order is different.
Right.
Okay.
My first stage was bargaining, because when they told me that, you know, she might not make it through the night, when we got to that phase, in my mind, I'm saying, God, it's a lot of other Negroes out here that you can take.
Man, listen,
Other
yeah.
than mama.
Real talk.
And I'm and to, you know, you know me, I'm gonna be very candid, and I mean I can't be no, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
I can't run. I gotta just be transparent.
Yeah, please do.
I was like, me and God was like in a conversation in the little temple at the hospital. And I'm like, hey, God, look, now I know some jokers who out here that ain't worth a penny. You could take them, call them on home, and leave my mama here. So my first stage was bargaining. And once the bargaining didn't work, I had to come to the reality that, you know, she's going to be with the Lord. You know, that really saved me from a lot of the other stages, because I understand that she was going to be with the Lord. I don't believe that God plucked her out of here. I don't think the enemy took her out of here. I think she came to grips and she was at peace and she went home to be with the Lord. At the end of the day, Will, it's funny because when you get to a certain age, your life is, I want to see Jesus. You know what I mean? And everybody else may not understand where you are when it comes to that. And so once I got through trying to bargain, of course, I went through all of these, but it just wasn't in that order. And so it just depends on, you know, the person, the circumstance, the whole nine.
You know, Meme said, I'll put that back on the screen. She said her mom passed 23 years ago, and it still feels like yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think, and I said that, I believe I said it at the beginning of the show, you never, I imagine, get over it. You just learn to go on with life, you know, and do the best you can, because I just believe that, especially with your mom, I don't see that as being a void that's filled. That's just me, me imagining. So, Lady Keisha, let's fast forward a bit. You have to go through 2011, 2012, 2013, and here we are, 2014, 3 years later, and this same devastating thing happens to you.
Yeah.
But before that,
Yeah.
keep in mind that my other mom, it wasn't even like I skipped a beat. You know what I'm saying? Once I, you know, came to grips and was like, oh my God, this is the reality of it, she was right there. Like, I didn't miss no motherly love. I still got motherly love. I still got motherly advice. I got motherly everything, as if my mom was still here, but she was with the Lord. And so my mother-in-law, she slid right in, and we didn't skip a beat. And so right after, you know, the 3 years, then we get to my other mom.
So yeah, take us through it, Lady Keisha.
So with my mom, it was, you said, devastating to say the least. You're talking about, now let's backtrack. When Pastor Swan talked about his mom, she fell ill. So there's no way to prepare, but we got a chance to kind of talk to doctors and see where we were and kind of, you know, go through some of the medical things of a possibility. With my mom, there was none of that. She was completely healthy, according to the doctors. She had just had a doctor's appointment the very week before. And the report that she got was, oh, you're one of the healthiest 64-year-old women that we've seen in a long time. My mama walked. She ate healthy. She was still working every day. She was on no meds, no high blood pressure, no diabetes, no nothing. I talked to my mom on a Tuesday. On a Thursday, she was gone.
Wow.
And according to the coroners, they were like, she didn't have a heart attack. She didn't go to cardiac arrest. Her heart just stopped. And there was no way that I can kind of put into words that type of pain, because I'm like, God, you gave me absolutely no warning. Like, I didn't go to the hospital and be able to see her and say, man, mama, we're going to get through this. It was like conversation on a Tuesday. I tried to talk to her that Wednesday. And for whatever reason, she did not answer the phone for me that Wednesday. But that wasn't abnormal, because my mama, our parents, they love the Lord. So my mama not answer the phone for me and be like, girl, I was in prayer. It was just me and Jesus. So when she didn't answer the phone that Wednesday for me, it wasn't abnormal, but I'm like, she is not answering the phone. By the time that Thursday morning came, I'm like, if I can't catch her nowhere else, I know I can catch her at work. When I called her job and they said she wasn't there, I said something is wrong, because she didn't miss work for nobody. So my husband just so happened to work 20 minutes away from my mom's house. I did a wellness check with her building, because she lived in a assisted living building. So I was like, hey, you guys,
suite.
yeah. I was like, go. As a matter of fact, she lived in the same building with Mama Davis. Bishop.
Oh, okay.
They were neighbors and really good friends. And so they did a wellness check. They went to go check. My husband was like, I'm not going to wait for them to call back. I'm going to just go. What I did not know, that my husband knew that she had passed away. And she transitioned, and I was on my way to her apartment. So he was trying to figure out in his mind, how do I tell my wife that her mom was gone? And I'm on my way there from Schaumburg, from the city.
Okay, so hold on. Let's go back just a tad.
Mm-hmm.
Pastor Twan went to the building.
He did. When I called the building to say she's not responding, you guys do a wellness check, he said, I'm not even gonna wait on them to call you back. I'm leaving work and I'm going over there now.
Okay, go ahead.
So when they called me back,
I called you.
No, they called me back first before you called me.
Okay. And
they had told me that they had found her unresponsive. You don't think that unresponsive could possibly mean transition. You're just thinking like, okay, did you guys call 911? What's going on? That's when that bargaining thing came into play for me, because even though I didn't even know she had transitioned, the bargaining was more of a, God, you got me. I already know this. She's the healed of God. She gonna get through this. I don't know what's going on, but here we are, and I need you to be God.
Right. Your bargaining was more from a campaign petition type of
campaigning for her healing based on the news that I had just got,
right.
Not realize that she was already with Jesus.
Wow.
So by the time I got to her apartment, Pastor Will, is really weird, because if someone transitions, you see an ambulance, you see all this commotion. Mentally, my mind did not go to there was no ambulance here. There's no.
Still there.
I didn't see anything though.
Oh, okay.
I was just trying to get to that apartment.
Yeah.
And when they met me, and my husband and the building managers met me in the hallway, because my mom was the person. She was the cook of the building. She cooked for everybody. She was friends with everybody, so everybody loved her. So when they met me there, the other two people that were with my husband were already crying, and I'm looking like, what's wrong with them? Mentally, again, I never thought my mom's gone. I was just kind of like, okay, what? She okay? We're gonna go upstairs. What's going on? So when he told me the news, I could not wrap my mind around what he said. It was like, no, you didn't just say that, because I just talked to her.
Yeah. And
she's fine. So it wasn't more of a bargaining. What was another one? It was more of a denial.
Denial, yeah.
It was a denial. That was my first one.
Yeah, your first day.
My first one was a denial, because I'm like, even though, especially those of us that are saved and we love the Lord and we're in church our whole lives, that people are going to transition. But when it happens, your mind says, that can't happen. At least not to me. No, that can't happen. My mama didn't just slip up out of here and ain't nobody warned me, ain't nobody told me nothing. That didn't happen. So devastation and denial were my two in the very beginning.
Jeanette says, in her case, she said, how about you see your mom at 2 p.m. and by 7 p.m. she's gone?
Lord have mercy.
Listen,
I can't imagine what you guys must have gone through. Tell me about, well, I would assume, I could be wrong, but well, let me ask this question. Was there ever a point, both of you, where you were just angry? And was there ever a point where you felt possibly angry with God?
absolutely.
Let me keep it 100 with you. Me and God was into it because
I appreciate the honesty right there. I really appreciate that.
We not and peep this. It don't make me no less anointed. It don't make me no less saved.
Yeah.
It don't forfeit my future and all of that foolishness. I was upset with God because I could not believe that he took that's my number one support, and you took her and then turned around and took my fill-in.
Yeah.
So absolutely.
Anger is almost an understatement, Pastor Will. Like, you know that you can't be angry with God, but honestly, the truth says you were angry with God.
I'm still researching that, Pastor Will. I'm still studying that out because I got a different perspective. You know what I'm saying? Stuff is being illuminated to me. And you know what I'm saying? Because he created us with certain emotions and feelings and stuff like that. So I am researching that, because if he created us and he knew us and he knows us, you know I'm about to be mad with you. It's almost like my son. As a father, if I do something to him or if I take something from him, I already know. I'm already preparing for him to be mad at me. Mm-hmm. If I go upstairs right now, my 17-year-old, he didn't have school today, but he got his game. He got his Xbox. If I go upstairs and take that Xbox from him and say, you cannot play this game no more, I already know he's going to be mad with me.
Yeah.
He might try to swing. I know that. And so I just said that, you know, I think we got to kind of broaden our perspective when it comes to
Tanya, we're gonna call you and Drew after this, because
I just put that on the screen. She says that her husband Drew is experiencing anger today.
You know what's funny?
1 year from the day his mom passed away.
The crazy thing is, I text him today. The Lord dropped him on my spirit, and I just text him and said, hey man, I'm checking on you, sending prayers your way. I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
I didn't even know that. But anyway,
May says she was mad at God for a long time and stayed away from the church, didn't want to hear nothing about how he'll bring you through. Listen, that's honesty for your tail.
Let me speak to that.
Talk.
We were pastoring a church.
Yeah.
So
yes.
To fast forward, when we dissolved the worship center and we went and sat full time under our pastors, Pastor London and Pastor Roy, here's what I told him and God. Now, you know my story, Pastor Will. Yeah. I was a preacher. We were pastoring. I said, I'm still a little mad at God because in my mind, I didn't say my mom transitioned. My language for years was God took my mama.
Wow. Okay. I see what you're saying.
So I said, God took my mama. I don't want to preach. I don't want to sing. I don't want to pray. Don't ask me to do nothing in this church. I want to sit back and I want to do absolutely nothing because I'm angry. Me and God have issues.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even though I have a whole family, I have 2 boys, I have a husband. I'm like, he took the one person that I can depend on my entire life. She's gone. What now, God? What do I do with that? Explain that to me. How am I supposed to function without the person that taught me how to function?
And so
I didn't understand that.
Here's what that. Now, when you talk about the stages, stages, when you go through things in stages, it's like one thing, then you go through another thing, then you go through another thing. In this particular case, she was dealing with everything. It was anger, it was depression, it wasn't acceptance. And that's what caused the anger.
It wasn't acceptance.
It wasn't. She had a hard time just accepting the fact that mom is going on to be with the Lord. If my mom been gone 6 years,
my mom's been gone.
She's been going 6 years.
Yeah.
6 years later, I'm still ministering to her concerning acceptance. Mm-hmm. Because
let me interrupt you right there, and I want you to finish. Mm-hmm. Everybody that's watching tonight, and even those of you that are commenting, I see them. Josie, I know how you feel about your dad. I know you make that no secret, and it tugs my heart too. Like my mom said, I want you all to know that Christian people are not exempt from experiencing all of these emotions that you're hearing these two talk about. It's a relief almost to hear you say, I was mad with God. It was a relief to hear May say that. And some of the other ones that are commenting here. Jeanette also says, she says, I wasn't mad, more disbelief. I still go downstairs and say, really, Ma? You know, I can understand that, because my brother, my sister, my dad, all of them gone. And to this day, Pastor Antoine, Lady Keisha, I have to catch myself, because I almost want to pick up the phone and call them.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
That still happens. So
the acceptance that you were talking about, it sometimes it takes a while to get there, right? Mm-hmm. So I just want to throw that in there. Pastor Antoine, please continue. I'm sorry for interrupting you.
No, you good. So with my wife, and this is part of one of the things that the Lord shared with me when we considered shutting down or merging. My wife was going through all 5 stages at the same time.
Wow.
And the one stage that she really needed, she didn't take, the acceptance piece. See, for me, I spent a lot of time in prayer and studying the will of God, right? And so out of that time of revelation and illumination of the word concerning his will, I was able to accept what my mom transitioned. Because her mom, it wasn't no warning, wasn't no warm up, wasn't no this could happen, it was just like boom, it was done. And so that's hard. That's a hard pill to swallow. And so we're going through ministry, and some days she feel it, some days she don't. Some days she mad, some days she not. She'll come to church, she's depressed, she's checked out, the whole 9. And I shared this with my last interview. I remember being in church one Sunday, and I'm up preaching, right? And I guess I just had an open vision during my sermon, and I saw my wife have a nervous breakdown in church. Right?
I think you shared a little piece of that when you were on the show last time. Talk about that.
And so during our time of, I guess you still want to call it grief, but we were in the middle of transitioning anyway, because it was just some things that I knew I had desired from God towards ministry that I knew we needed to get there. We just weren't there. And so I always kind of considered doing a merger or doing something different. But when the Lord showed me, or when I had that vision of my wife having a nervous breakdown, and I'm talking about, I'm in the pulpit and this thing is as clear as day. Like I'm in the pulpit and I'm an open vision, and I see her, and I see like the ambulance. I see, because the church was right next door to the fire station. They pulled out the fire trucks. I mean, in my vision, I saw it, and it was really, really bad. And so when I got done, I spent some time with the Lord, and I said, God, I do not want this to happen. I wouldn't be able to live if something happened to my wife. Okay. So I really need instructions and direction on what to do. And the Lord told me, he says, you take care of your bride I'll take care of my bride. And that's when we made the decision to do the merge. And I believe with every ounce of my being that had we not made that move, that vision would have came to pass.
I want to I want to stick a pin right there because I want to ask Lady Keisha a question. And I won't forget. But before I ask that question, I want to address this comment, which is why I left it up there on the screen. There's so many comments coming in. You all, please keep sending them. We'll get to as many as we can. And also, please, we possibly may run over an hour tonight, but I think it's okay because I am really, really inwardly, I'm praying. My spirit man is praying for healing. And we'll talk about that too. But I want to address this comment. Elise says, I was dying, and I'm assuming she's talking about because of the loss of her mom, I believe it was. Listen to this, people. She says, I was dying, but I couldn't stop church. My father kept preaching, and I had to keep singing, and I was told that I had to move forward. Is that why it's hitting me so hard now? Let me be the first to speak to that. I want to say to those of you, and I made a Facebook post about this, to those of you who say, oh, you got to be strong, to those of you who say in so many words, well, you know, life goes on, you got to get over it. I want you to know, and this is me talking, I think those are some of the most cruel things you could say to a person. Okay?
Yeah.
I don't think you should be strong. I think when you lose a loved one, I think you should scream, holler, cry, throw something if you have to. I don't do whatever you need to do, because holding that in will cause a mental breakdown. It will cause a nervous breakdown. It will cause you to lose your mind. Holding that stuff in. We love our families and our friends and stuff like that. So no, I disagree with the keep singing, keep doing this, keep doing that. Everything is the same. This is me personally. I disagree with that. I think that if you need to take time to not necessarily stop going to church, I would never ever suggest that. You need that.
Yeah.
But if you need time to not be active in the church, let me just come. I think that that's good. I don't think that you should be made, so to speak, to keep singing, to keep performing, to keep doing whatever it is that you're doing. I disagree with that. Do you guys have anything on that?
Yeah, I definitely disagree with that, and we're going to speak directly to Elise because she's actually our cousin. The funny part, or not the funny part, I'll say the divine part about this is her mother's home, and you probably don't even remember this. Her mother's homegoing service was on my mother-in-law's birthday that year. 4 months later, my mother-in-law transitioned.
Yeah, that's when we found out.
We found out that she was sick
that day,
the day of Elise's mother's homegoing service. Yes. So it was a lot going on that day. And Elise is the praise and worship leader in her church. So, the funny part is a lot of churches, they say stuff like ministry must go on, so you got to serve through it. I agree, but I don't agree. Because I agree that serving should not stop. But and I think Prophetess Karen said, you got to be wise enough to know when you need to take a seat so you can heal.
Absolutely.
Because if I don't heal, then ministry will not go on, because y'all going to be carrying me up out of here because I've had a nervous breakdown in the middle of your church because I'm trying to serve through it.
And we don't teach this type of stuff in church, right?
Right.
This is like, it's amazing to me how we went through a season, and you remember this. We went through a season where there was a lot of pastors just committing suicide. Mm-hmm. And I can the pressures of leading and all of that. Most of that type of pressure would have been released had they just took in a little time and dealt with their issues. Just take some time. And I told you this before. that leading while bleeding thing, that's a cool statement. But every now and then, you need to pause on your leading so you can stop bleeding.
Absolutely.
And bleeding for 30 years, because peep this, if I'm a leader and I'm bleeding, eventually my blood gonna get on everybody that I'm leading.
Yeah.
And I will say this as well. You're gonna go through it as it pertains to grief.
Oh man, listen.
Grief is one of those things that you feel like it is never ending. It feels like it never stops.
Yes.
I get a lot of people who has lost their mom, and they'll reach out to me and they'll say, "Hey, Pastor Keisha, can you help me how to get through with this? How do I deal with this?" My answer is always, when I find the answer to that question, I'll let you know, because I haven't discovered how to deal with it yet. You go through it, but having the answer to grief, I don't have that answer, because I can wake up tomorrow and I miss my mom tremendously, and I'm crying like she died this morning.
I don't think that I really, Keisha, I don't think that there naturally, I really don't think that there is an answer.
I don't think there's an answer.
And
I don't think that there's an answer for that.
And there's no timeline.
Yeah.
It's not a situation, to get over it. You just don't get over it like that. You know what I'm saying? Like some people, my mama been gone 10 years, I'm good. No, it's an ongoing thing.
And let me say that about this, and I know you had a question for me, but one of the reasons I think that I deal with it the way I deal with it now is because I was the person that kept saying I was good, because I felt like we got a church to run. I got people to preach to. I got people to pray for. I was putting my assignment in front of my grief.
That's good.
And so a lot of people have that issue.
You got to write that down.
They are putting their assignments.
Yeah, right. That's good.
Their grief, and they're not healing properly. There is a proper way to heal.
I'm literally writing that down right now.
Write it down. And telling people that you're good when you're not, it does something to your mental state. Because I was the one that was telling people I was good because I felt like that's what people needed to hear. And during that, I think you need to make sure that you can find somebody that can handle you in your grief, that you can release to.
So it's a story in the Bible, Will, because I'm a preacher. We got to do Bible. So the widow woman, right? Elijah, which one? Elijah or Elijah? Elijah. He promises her a kid. Remember the whole I just got enough food for me and my son and we're gonna die. Whatever. So eventually the kid died.
Yeah.
And so she was mad.
Yeah,
so she went to go find the prophet because he made her a promise and her son died. Yeah. So when she comes to the prophet, he says, "Hey, widow woman of God, is all is well?" She says, "No, all is not well." And we have to learn how to be honest enough with ourselves to say, "No, all ain't well today.
Absolutely.
I don't feel good today. I don't want to be bothered today. I don't want to sing. I don't want to preach. I don't want to pray. I want to deal with me." And sometimes we got to stop being so high and deep and come down and just deal with our natural issues that we have.
That's it.
And we don't want to do that. Because if you don't do it, then your mental capacity is going to do it for you.
I want to take a look at a couple of these comments because they're coming in and they are really, really important. And Keisha, I promise you, I haven't forgotten my question because it's vital to this conversation. And I do believe that it'll help somebody. My friend says, I don't know. She's my friend. She says, I don't know if I'm grieving or just hurt. I do want to say that everybody, and I posted this earlier, everybody grieves differently. Mm-hmm. Everybody heals differently. And I think that in a lot of cases, you can have a period of grief, no matter how long that is. Mm-hmm. Could be years and years that you grieve. It's a different case for different people. But I think that the hurt, Darnett, I think that the hurt will always be there. I don't think it ever goes away. My mom says, imagine taking your son, daughter, and husband in a matter of 7 years. That's my mama talking, y'all.
Mama, listen, I remember.
Everyone.
I remember every one of them.
You do, yeah.
That's a different type of prayer right there.
Yeah.
That's not a just go through it and deal with it and you'll be okay.
See, this is why I like y'all. Because y'all telling the truth, and again, Pastor Twan said it earlier. This is stuff that the church, most churches, just they don't deal with this. It's all miracles, signs, and wonders, and money. No, this is stuff. You have people who are hurting, still grieving, don't know how to deal with it. They just go on. Somehow.
I was looking for somebody to tell me something that I didn't know. I knew Jesus was going to heal me. I knew that he's good. I knew that this was the will of God. Tell me something that speaks directly to my hurt. Because right now, I don't want to hear none of that. I don't want to hear that Jesus is good because I knew that already. I don't want to hear that he was going to make a way. I knew that already. Listen, I was the preacher that preached that. So I knew that. Tell me why he took my mama. That's what I wanted to know.
Yeah.
And that was my thing. Tell me why. Nobody could tell me why. And so I internalized my hurt because I had a question that needed to be answered, and God was the only one that could answer it. But I was looking for it from somewhere else.
Right.
So that will take me back to the question that I wanted to ask you.
Hey man, you running out of time.
No, we're not running out of time. We're not running out of time. This is my show. I can run as long as I want to.
Oh yeah.
I did prepare the people. I said we may run over 8 o'clock.
You did.
And we probably will, because it's some of these comments are really, really getting me. And I want to get to as many as I can, because you two people, through what you're going through, you are ministering to other people that's on here right now, and they are saying such. So please, y'all, just bear with us a few more minutes after 8 o'clock, if that's okay. Speaking on what you just said takes me back to this open vision that Pastor Twan had about his wife having a nervous breakdown. I want to ask you, Lady Keisha, was there ever a moment, a point, a day where you felt as if this could possibly go on for you?
Every single day.
And see about that, she didn't know I had the vision, and I didn't know she was feeling like that.
Wow.
Let me say this, and I'm gonna say this hoping that I will help somebody.
You need some tissue.
No, I'm not gonna cry. I promise you, I'm not gonna cry. I went through being so stuck on I gotta help the people that I was not being healed myself. And so every day I woke up, I felt like I'm gonna lose it without my mama. I can't do this. But you know how you put the church face on and you go to church and you smile and you know that you're not okay? That's what I was doing.
Because we good at that.
Because we're good at that at church, people.
We're programmed.
We're programmed. I'm good. How you doing? Praise the Lord. All is well. People knew all went well because they was looking at me like, this lady gonna lose her mind. I wasn't honest with myself enough to say that I was not okay. It wasn't until I went into the bathroom one day and said, I can't do this without my mom. And I took a bottle of pills, hoping that the Lord would take me to. Because I couldn't imagine what the next few years of my life would be like without my mother. And so me feeling like I wanted to have a nervous breakdown and me suppressing it caused me to do things that were completely out of character, such as, let me just go in here and take all these pills and see what happens.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to deal with that part of grief where you feeling suicidal and you feeling like depression is about to take over and you don't have any peace and you're feeling like you're having anxiety attacks at night because you can't sleep. See, all of that is bottled up with grief when you don't deal with it properly. And that's why I said you gotta find somebody that can handle you. I think Glenda said, and my best friend is on here talking about Lord have mercy, because I don't even think she ever knew. But Glenda said counseling will help. I agree. Counseling will help tremendously. But back then, I was the person that said counseling is for crazy people. I'm not going to counseling. What am I gonna do that for? Because it was foreign to me. Because that's not what they talked about in the church. They said, come up here for prayer and you'll be okay. The grief will go away if you have Jesus. That's true, but Jesus didn't put these counselors on this earth for you not to utilize them.
Here's what counseling does. Counseling creates an opportunity for you to release and walk through what you're going through. And what we don't do in the church is we're good with laying hands. We're good with oiling you up. And trust me, I believe in that.
Absolutely.
I believe in the unadulterated anointing of God. I do. But when I get off the floor, I'm going to need some instructions. And if you study the life of Jesus, Jesus didn't work miracles without giving you some instructions.
That's right.
After he healed you, he said, hey, go your way, sin no more, or go. He gave you some instructions. He didn't just give you your sight and say, all right, go ahead and look at everything. No, he said, hey, here's what you need to do. And I think because we don't understand the mental dynamic of this whole thing, and I think the church itself is kind of transitioning into that now. But I think we're behind as it pertains to that, because
we're way behind. Yeah,
people have issues, man, that the choir can't sing me through this one.
Yeah,
Rev can't shout me through this, and the oil ain't gonna work this time. I need to sit down and I need to sit on somebody's couch and I need to cry. I need to yell. I need to go to that little place where they let you break stuff or throw an axe or something. You have to find creative ways to deal with your grief, because one of the things, and I constantly minister to my wife with this, is the difference between her and I is I grieve whenever I feel it. Like I ain't trying to be strong. God gave me that revelation a long time ago. We got to get out of this thing where we always say, I got to be strong for my brother and I got to be strong for my mom and them. And no, you cannot be strong with them. You cannot identify with the relationship that they had. I couldn't be strong for my sister because her and my mama had a totally different relationship than I had with my mom. And so I just had to be me to her. That's all I could be. And so when you're trying to be strong for people, you carrying weight that you're not created to carry. And that's what causes mental breakdowns and people going crazy. And you at the family reunion and somebody just start throwing spoons and stuff because they done had an anxiety attack. Those are the results of not dealing with your grief. And so to those of you that are listening, I'm not saying that I'm a master of grief management or anything like that.
We're still going through it.
But you got to be able to, number one, release when you need to release. And Pastor Will, you can probably attest to this. A song could come on, and that's my mama's song. I'm balling. I'm not holding it. I'm going to the bathroom, or I'm going to pull over in my car, and I'm going to get my release, and I'm going to honor my mom and think about the good days, and I'm going to cry, and I'm going to pull myself together and keep it moving. My wife, on the other hand, and she's better. Can I? Okay. She's better now. But for a long time, she just would not. I'm not going to cry. I'm not. I just don't want to feel like that no more. And I don't want to relive this. And I had to explain to her, honey, if you don't release it, then you're going to mess around and jump on me or something. And I don't want no smoke. You know what I'm saying? You done threw my spaghetti on the floor or something. You know what I'm saying?
But you know what, Pastor Will? I didn't like the way I felt when having a moment of grief, because it wasn't just I knew how to cry. I think because I didn't deal with it for so long, it was a full panic attack. And so I'm like, let me just suppress my emotions because I don't want to feel like that, because that's unhealthy. But what I wasn't dealing with was the fact that I just never grieved. And so my mom transitioned in 2014. It was 2019, and I'm still like, be strong and trying to suppress it. And he's like, no, because you killing yourself over here.
Yeah.
And so I had to learn how to, when I feel it, it's a natural emotion. I'm going to say this to everybody that's listening. It's okay to cry.
It is okay.
It's okay. It's okay to tell somebody, I am not okay. I would say that in a heartbeat now. I'm not okay. I miss my mama.
And I need a hug. I need to go.
I need one of these church mothers. I need some. Hey, listen, if y'all ain't calling me, I'm going to call y'all. I need a hug today. Yeah. I am not okay because grief will come in waves.
It'll come in waves.
It will come in waves.
Sure.
1 minute you're okay, and the next minute it's a full out moment, and you're like, what just happened?
Yeah.
That is just how it hit you. And I even want to speak to the spouses that are on here. Yeah. when his mom transitioned, I thought I understood. But reality said his mom transitioned and I can still pick up the phone and call mine. So I didn't understand the way I thought I understood until I could no longer pick up the phone and call my mother. Now I had to literally go back and say, I am so sorry. Because I thought I understood what you were going through. But the reality was I still had something that you had just lost. Mm-hmm. I did not understand. So when I lost my mom, the feeling that I had completely changed. And I had to apologize to him and say, I'm so sorry for if I ever made you feel like, why are you taking this so hard because you got another mother? She was a great filler. She wasn't his mother.
Yeah.
So it was a completely different feeling.
I want to put a couple of comments up, and y'all give us maybe 10, 15 more minutes, and I promise we'll be done. I want
all night, whatever you want to do. This your show. We got all night.
I don't like to hold people all night, but this is really, really being a blessing. If you look at these comments, when you guys get a chance, go back and look at them when you can, because this is really, really helping people. I want to put a couple of these up in relation to people having that you need to get over it attitude, make you want to slap somebody. Mama says they think you're having a pity party when you mention it after a couple of months, as if it doesn't still hurt. Yeah, that's true. Jackie Goggins says it's so hard, and then the people I had to hold on to me told me I was grieving out of season. What does that mean? She says I was also told let the dead take care of the dead. So I hide it and try to bottle it up. But till this day, I have not been able to grieve my dad because even when I post, I get told to take it down and get over it. Jackie, I want to say this to you. Have whatever moments you need. I don't care. Take all the days you need, the months, years, it doesn't matter. And to whoever is telling you to get over it and to take posts down of you honoring your dad, those people are very, very insensitive to what you're going through, and and very, very selfish. So I believe that you should honor your dad in any way you want to, because nobody gets to tell you how to grieve. Nobody gets to tell you that. Don't let anybody tell you that. And like they both said, it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to cry. You need to grieve. Everybody listen to me. You need to grieve. Yeah. And for how long it's been.
And for all of the deep people, Bible says the only time that the Bible ever said that Jesus wept was when this guy died.
Yeah.
And it didn't really go into detail and how long and how extent it was, but the fact that he had an opportunity to express his emotions and have a release because of what he had just heard, that should let you know that it's okay. It's okay. Look, and the fact that this is an ongoing process, it's gonna be times where you don't even plan on grieving, and that thing just gonna hit you. And
it comes in waves.
You got it. Yeah, you got to just be okay with it.
Chanel says, I lost my father when I was 11. I had so many emotions. I felt cheated. I blamed my mom, my sister. That younger sister believed if my mom had been there, he wouldn't have passed away. She says, it took me 15 years to realize he never left me. His spirit will always be with me. I'm real honest. I want to fight everybody. I didn't even want his own mother, my grandmother, to talk about him. I would get up and walk out if anyone mentioned him. I'm 43 right now, and I still cry. And that, too, is okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not going to go anywhere. I just think that as a body, as a community, as believers, we have to find a way to show compassion.
Yes.
We in the church now where, it ain't that much compassion. If you lose somebody, I should have enough compassion, especially since I don't know what you're dealing with. Mm-hmm. Because for me, and I just got a different philosophy about a lot of stuff. You cannot minister to me something that you've never experienced.
You've never experienced.
You can't come to me and tell me, well, you only got a season to grieve. No, you still got your mama and your sisters and uncles, and you got your whole family. So you don't know what it feels like.
And even if you have experienced this, every situation is different.
Absolutely.
My hurt was completely different from his hurt, even though we both experienced losing a mother.
Yeah.
So even with whether it's fathers, whether it's spouses, every situation is going to be different. And you have to be okay with how you grieve. Be okay with that.
Be okay with that.
Don't let nobody tell you that you're grieving too long. I've had people tell me, shouldn't you be over it right now? Should you not stop talking to me right now? Because we have nothing else to talk about if that's going
to be the most rude and sensitive thing somebody can say.
Rude and insensitive. I hate when I see somebody on Facebook saying, be strong. What does that mean? I don't understand. Be strong when I've just lost my parent.
But even in that, there is an understanding. Because me, Pastor Will, I'm the type of guy, I try to examine things full circle from a broad perspective. And many people say things that they really have good intentions.
They do.
But you don't really understand the circumstance, so you only say what you think people want to hear.
I do believe you're right. I think people do have good intentions. But at the same time, I'll say this. If you don't know what to say, don't say nothing.
Just pray for me.
Just pray. Yeah. I think it's a lot of healing that needs to take place in this. I see one person that just actually logged on, Sister Juanita Williams, who just lost her mom, not even 6
months. Just lost her mom. Beautiful lady.
Beautiful lady. She saw me grow up. Me and her nephew went to grammar school together. So she was always auntie. But, in that, it takes time. Go through your healing, whatever that looks like to you. It takes time. It's not something you're going to get over tomorrow.
The best thing that the Lord could have told me during this time, because this is real, it's pivotal for leaders, because a lot of times as senior pastors and leaders, we feel like we have to have this thing. I don't even know what to call it. We got to have this thing. It's not even really a look, but we got to have this thing where we don't have flesh moments. You understand? We don't have worldly moments. Listen, let me explain something to you. When the Lord told me, because I was very, very concerned about my wife, the Lord said, son, you take care of your bride. Mm-hmm. That's your wife. That's your bride. The church is my bride. I got the church. So let me take care of my bride. You take care of your bride, and we'll keep moving. And when we need to do something different as it pertains to assignments, we'll deal with that when we get there. But the fact that he assured me that the church was going to be taken care of, because that's his responsibility. And so for people that feel like I gotta serve through this and I gotta lead while bleeding, listen, man, let Jesus Christ handle his church. Can't nobody handle the church better than he can anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, let me say this. In retrospect, I do believe there are moments where you need to serve. You might need to just serve through it. And there are moments where you have to do that. But that does not have to be the full scope of things.
But see, here's my thing with that. And this is what I'm saying, just for the sake of clarity. If you feel that this is what you need to do,
you should do
to help you deal with it, by all means do it.
Right.
But if you feel the opposite, that you don't need to do anything, then you should do that too.
Right. Because some people can't be idle during that season.
Right. Some people have to keep busy.
They have to keep their mind going to keep from thinking about it or whatever that moment puts you in. So they feel like, I got to serve and I got to work and I got to do that. So like you said, if that's your way of dealing with it, by all means do that, but don't forget to grieve in the process.
Now listen, let me talk to some of these people on here, because y'all not, every time I have somebody on, y'all always ask for a part 2, and now this woman that asks for a part 2 and 3.
2 and 3.
I told you we wanted to marry you.
But I believe if people, y'all, I don't care what nobody thinks, if people are being helped, by all means, I want you to come back and continue, because we could talk about this for hours. So I will have them back as soon as our schedules permit. If they ain't got no choice, they'll come back. But there is one more question, comment rather, that I want to put up on the screen. And this is really big, and this is the last one, you guys. And we will come back. I will have them back, and I'll let you all know when that is. I keep all of my these episodes so I can go back to them at any time and pull out comments that you all ask, because we'll get to as many as we can. But this one is important to me, and I want you to speak on how important it is to have leadership to upgird you during these times. Shirley says, mentally, it messes you up losing a parent. Absolutely. And the only thing you have to lean on is the church or your spiritual leader, and no help is found. I think I know what she means. When you go to lean on your church or spiritual leader and don't get that help, the wound is deeper.
Right.
So I want you to talk about how important it is to have leadership when you're going through these rough times. Talk about that.
One of the best things that could have happened to us during this time was the support of our leaders. I can't even put into words the way they showed up. And it wasn't a show up just because I had to, but it was a show up because I need to.
Okay.
You know what I mean? They undergirded us. They gave us time. They stepped in for us. When my mom transitioned, that was it. We had no mothers left. And outside of the mothers that were stepping up in the church, Pastor London was like, whatever you need in a mother, she was wise enough to say, I can't replace her, but whatever you need from me, I got you. And she has proved true to this day.
That is so amazing.
Now, let me say this also. You have to also be open to, because she said something that was very key. God will put people in your life not to replace your parents or things of that nature, but people that can help, support, and undergird you while you're going through. Because sometimes, depending on the size of your church, depending on the type of church you got, you may not be able to get to your spiritual parents, or you might not even have that relationship. Some people nowadays go to church and that's just my pastor. It's a difference from having a pastor and a spiritual father.
Absolutely.
And so a lot of people don't know that. And so they may not be able to get to that, leader or whatever, but you got to know God will put people in your life. And we were so blessed, and I can go down the list of best friends and people that's been in our lives forever. family. I mean, people just were stepping up and just supporting us, not trying to replace, but just supporting us along this journey. And you gotta be open, and you gotta have a discerning spirit to see who those people are. You gotta identify those people, and you gotta be able to respond to the people that God sends. Because we went to Lifeline, the mothers to this day, the mothers at Lifeline are true mothers of Zion. If I don't even got to say I need a hug or I'm missing my mama, they just sense it in the spirit.
They can pick it up. Yeah.
Let me out.
Yeah.
And that be just the release that I need, you know what I'm saying, to get through the next 6 months or whatever the case may be. And so you got to be open to responding to who God puts in your life as it pertains to walking through this journey. The one thing I will say, do not do this journey by yourself.
Don't do it. Don't do this journey by yourself. Y'all heard it. Y'all heard it. Wow. Shirley made a great suggestion. And I want to know if you guys would be open to that, to do a Zoom meeting live where I can have more of these people actually on with us, and they can ask you any questions they may have, and you guys could share with them. We'll talk about it off the air. But I think that that's a great idea because people need help, and this was really, really good. It helped me personally. I will say that. So I want to thank you both for coming on tonight to share your story and your journey with all of us. So many people were helped by this, and that is what it's all about. So before we end, I do want to say, you see it going across the screen right now. If you have an idea for the show, you want me to talk about something on the Self-Checkout Show, shoot us an email at theselfcheckoutshow@gmail.com. We will respond to each and every one of those suggestions. So the email again is theselfcheckoutshow@gmail.com. Thank you, everybody. Facebook, Periscope, Twitter, YouTube Live, those that are watching the replay, thank you for tuning in to Self-Checkout tonight. We were talking about how to deal with and handle grief, and that honestly, we can give all the advice and counsel and biblical wisdom that we can, but there really, really is no answer. The greatest answer spiritually that they can give you is to totally depend on Jesus Christ.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day, that is who you need to carry you through the journey of grief. And it may never end for some. It may never end. And if it doesn't end, that's okay too. If you go through the rest of your life having moments here and there, that, my friend, is okay. Have all the moments you need. I do want to say this, that you can try it, but you can't drink it away. You can't smoke it away.
That's a whole nother conversation.
And we're going to talk about it. You can't sex it away. You can't do nothing. Because when all of that stuff is gone, when you come down from all of those highs, reality is what it is.
Let me say this, Pastor Will. I know we got to. After I decided that I was going to take some pills because I wanted to go be with my mama, and I realized everything I took didn't work for me because I didn't need to. 911 didn't need to be called. Nobody knew I took them. I took a nap and woke up like, you idiot.
You was high. You took the wrong pills.
It was like, there is still work for you to do in the earth. And if it ain't your time, it just ain't your time.
It's just not your time.
It wasn't my time. It was hers.
Yeah.
I have to be okay with that.
And so I'm sure there are others who are listening to you talk about that right now have also tried to go down that road. But listen, everybody, I'm going to talk to them off the air. So when we end the broadcast, don't y'all go anywhere. Okay. I'm going to talk to them off the air, and we're going to try to do this quickly. because I want all of you that have questions or whatever you want to pose to Pastor Antoine and Lady Keisha. I'm going to make sure that happens for you, and we're going to do it like really, really, really soon. So like super soon. It's that important to me, because if it's important to you to ask for it, it's important to me enough to do it. So thank you all for tuning in tonight. Next week, we'll be back on Tuesday night at 7:00 p.m. And there was a great sermon that I heard Bishop Jeff Davis preach one time, and it was called "My Friend Did This to Me." Next week, we're going to have best friends, Apostle R.J. Williams and Apostle Nathan Culver on, and they're going to talk about friendship and betrayal.
Oh, that's going to be good.
Wow. So, come on back next week. I'll see you guys. This is Self-Checkout, where we take an honest look at what's in our hearts, minds, and spirits. Next Tuesday night, we'll see you back. Good night, everybody.
Good night.